Hi everybody, welcome to our video about equations. Our first learning target is I can determine whether a value or an ordered pair is a solution to an equation. Some important vocabulary terms you'll want to know. One of them is the word equal, and equal means exactly the same. So for example, 5 is equal to 5. Equivalent means having the same value. So for example, 0.5 and 1/2 and 3/6, they're not equal because, as you can see, they're written three completely different ways, but they're all equivalent because they all have the same value of 0.5 if you were to turn them all to decimals. And then an equation is a mathematical sentence that sets two expressions equal to each other. A solution, that's a value or values that make an equation true when the expressions are evaluated. So for example, x equals 2 is a solution of x plus 4 equals 6, because if you were to go back and check that and evaluate it for x equals 2, 2 plus 4 equals 6 is a true statement. And finally, when we find all solutions of equations, we find what's missing for x. That's called solving. Okay, so let's do some problems. First, we want to know, is x equals 7 a solution to the equation? And you need to justify your answer for these. Next year in geometry, you'll do some proofs, and in algebra, we do proofs as well. And so we need to verify our work by writing out some of the algebra. Now, a lot of this you can do on your calculator, and that's fine. But at very least, you need to show you understand the concept by writing out your work, as I'm going to show right here. So the first one, we have 2x squared minus 8 equals 90. Now remember, a solution means when we evaluate for x equals 7, this equation is going to be true. So I'm going to take the 7 and I'm going to substitute it for the x, and we're going to check whether or not this gives us a true statement. So I have 2, I'm going to put in the 7, squared minus 8 equals 90, and we're not sure about that. Okay, then we're just going to go through the calculations. So 7 squared, that's 49, times 2, that gives me 98, and then minus 8 equals 90. So I have 90 on the left side, I have 90 on the right side. That is true. So that means yes, 7 is a solution to 2x squared minus 8 equals 90. Okay, let's try it with the second one. 6x minus 3 equals 3x minus 2. And so same thing, we're going to take the 7, and everywhere we see an x, we're going to plug the 7 in. So I have 6 times 7 minus 3. And we want to know, is that equal to 3 times 7 minus 2? Okay, so I have 6 times 7, that's 42, minus 3, that's 39. And then I have 3 times 7, that's 21, minus 2 is 19. So that's false. And so, no, 7 is not a solution to 6x minus 3 equals 3x minus 2. Now again, as you can see, I said show your work. As long as you show the steps that I've written here, you don't have to write out every single step or every single calculation. It's perfectly okay if you check each side on your calculator, but you do have to show me that you know that you can plug the number in, that that's part of the requirement for being a solution, and also show me the final equation showing either a true or a false equation. Okay, an ordered pair. This is a point on the coordinate plane. It's always written as x comma y. And so, for example, the point -5 comma 2, that means that x equals -5 and y equals +2. So when you see an ordered pair, it's always x first and y second. So next we're going to check if the ordered pair -4, 8 is a solution to the equation. So first we have x cubed minus 5 equals y squared plus 5. So again, remember x comes first, y comes second. So the -4 is going to go for the x, and the 8 is going to go for the y. So -4, and again, you can use your calculator to work out the computations. But I have -4 cubed minus 5 equals 8 squared plus 5. So I do the calculation, -4 cubed, that's -64 minus 5. It's going to give me -69. And then I have 8 squared, that's 64, plus 5 is +69. And notice I do have the same numbers, however one's positive and one's negative. So this is false, and my answer is no. 4, 8 is not a solution to x cubed minus 5 equals y squared plus 5. Okay, so for equation number 2, let's do the same thing. Now look, I tried to kind of trick you here. I put y equals -2x, and I put the y first and the x second. So pay very close attention to where you're plugging your variables in. So 8's going to go for the y, and then the -4 is going to go for the x. Okay, so I have 8 equals -2 times -4. And then I see, okay, -2 times -4 is 8. So I have 8 equals 8. That is true. And so yes, -4, 8 is a solution to the equation. Okay, final target. I can use mental math to find the solution to an equation. And basically, all we're going to do is we're going to find the number that's missing. Because the number that's missing, if we can find a number that when we put it back into the equation gives us a true statement, then we'll know that that's the solution. So first one we have 4 plus x equals 10. So I got to think 4 plus what number is going to give me 10? And I'm pretty confident you all passed first grade and know your addition facts. So you know that x equals 6 because 4 plus 6 equals 10. Okay, number 2, 7x equals 35. Well, remember, the numbers are touching each other, so that means multiplied. So 7 times something gives me 35, and I think, okay, that number is 5. So x equals 5 because 7 times 5 equals 35. Okay, and finally, 1/3 x equals 30. This one's kind of tricky, and maybe you're freaking out because of the fraction, but just try to think of it. Okay, so 1/3 of what number is 30? Well, I know if I'm taking 1/3 of something, that means I have to take 1/3 of a bigger piece, and I'm going to get a smaller piece. So as I think about it, I think, okay, 1/3, and then I see, hey, how about 90? If you'll think about it, 90, if you go 30, 60, 90, you count by 30s, there's 3 of them. So a third of 90 is going to be 30, and so that's going to be our solution, x equals 90. So because 1/3 times 90 equals 30, x equals 90 for that equation. So now you hopefully have a good introduction to equations, which will be very useful in the next unit that we do. Now go practice those problems.